Capping. At Marist College, it has many meanings. The word itself means to complete, but to a Marist student, it marks the near end of their college career. Over their time at Marist, students acquire a vast amount of knowledge. Capping is that final piece that brings everything they learned into one last project. But does anyone know what their capping project actually is?
Currently, I really don't know that much about capping. I know from my friends that this year for video production majors, you're supposed to have a 5 to 10 minute video production thing, but other than that, I don't know the guidelines or really anything about capping.
Don't really know too much about capping, just that I have to take it my senior year. That's about it.
I'm not really sure what capping is exactly. I'll be doing it next semester, but I don't know what it entails or really what kind of projects that can be done.
As you can see, there really isn't much information given to students about what it is, what the project entails, or how they can prepare for it. The Media Studies and Production Capping is designed to have students show their professors and other faculty members that they are able to combine everything they have learned into one last project. I was able to follow Melissa Parker, Gabrielle Palesci, and Rachel Karaj, 3 students currently creating their Media Studies and Production Capping project in order to see what they're going through.
So for our capping project, we wanted to focus on this sort of glaring misrepresentation of women in Hollywood. So we took 5 iconic characters in cinema, female characters, and reimagined their wardrobes so they're more contemporary and they fit within our current society. And we wanted to put girls who don't necessarily embody the stereotypical female iconic celebrity who is most likely white and very thin and fit, and so we wanted to sort of put non-traditional girls into these roles as a form of empowerment and a way to sort of address this issue in a fun and unconventional way.
I did the art direction, which is basically I kind of put the set together as well as found the costumes for everybody. And then in the post-production process, I kind of am helping with a little bit of like how we want the edit to run.
I did a lot of pre-production work, so I worked on making sure we got the studio scheduled when we needed it to, making sure all of our talent was booked, made the call sheets, the waiver forms for our talent to sign, and then once we were shooting, I helped out with the camera shots according to what Rachel wanted, and I also did editing for our project.
I focused on the writing mostly, so I did a lot of the proposal work and everything that came beforehand, and I wanted to sort of help shape the idea so that we had more than just girls running around in pretty dresses. So I wrote a bunch of the interview questions, and I just kind of wanted to give depth to our project idea, and then I focused on shot selection, so I wanted to kind of quickly storyboard everything and see how it would all lay out during production.
Marist has really helped a lot with our capping project, especially the media department, the media center. They helped us set up the studio as well as the projector that we needed for our project. They also just really provided us with like the support system as well, like telling us we could basically do whatever we wanted to. Really just kept, I guess, believing in us. I know it's really cheesy, but they did help us. James was awesome. Every student in the media center who helped us.
I think also the classes leading up to capping, because most students do take capping in their last year of college, which is very sad, but it's a very exciting project that you get to work on, at least the media studies one. And I think that all the classes I've taken, so editing, post-production, lighting and cinematography, multi-camera, they all sort of have helped me with coming to the overall vision that I want and being able to get across the piece that we want to in the end visually and creatively.
So my experience as the director of the Media Center is to make sure there's resources available to students, and those resources are available for the whole semester. So in that, we try to pick equipment for them to use, and by resources I mean equipment or studio facilities, editing facilities, that if it's free for them to use in September, it will be free for them to use throughout the course of their project. So that's really been my experience with the classes.
My experience with capping and capping projects is in a supervisory capacity. I will advise not only faculty members but also students on equipment, availability of equipment, and a little bit about the production techniques that they're going to use for their capping projects. On certain occasions, I'm asked to come in and just do a brief workshop based on my experience with what I do here at Marist. So I'm able to sit with the students and give them some guidelines as to how they can, sort of partake in these productions and have them go smoothly. And, it's just going over basic planning, having their ideas put down on paper and ready to go, and then give them an idea what they might face in terms of the logistics and whatnot.
So I think if I could change anything about capping, I would try and put it a little earlier in the student schedule. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like this is such a valuable experience, and I'm kind of sad that I'm getting it this close to graduation.
I think one thing for me is maybe have like a budget for media students, just because I know that I spent money on costumes, which is like totally fine, and I don't mind doing for this project, but I think in the real world, like you're given a budget to work with, and I know that some other people have mentioned wanting budgets and they need to raise money for equipment that they need that the Media Center doesn't have, so I think that just like maybe like $100, I don't know, just like something to help the students out a lot.
The craziest capping project, well, I'll share one story about, not necessarily crazy, but one that I didn't think was particularly successful. There was one class, and the faculty member's gone and the students are long graduated, but there was one class where they felt, there was one student in the class that had a lot of video production experience, and she also worked for the Media Center. And they decided in that class that she would be the editor for all of their projects, and that would be her capping experience.
The best capping project that I've seen, that's a good question. I don't know that there's one all, out best project, but I'll go to last year. There was a group that did a project about the homeless in New York City. And they went down to Manhattan on numerous occasions, actually talked to a couple of fellows that were kind of down on their luck and found themselves homeless on the streets of Midtown. And they were able to establish a relationship with these guys, and they opened up and they talked to the crew and really gave them some very eye-opening information regarding their project.
Now that we've seen what capping is about, what can students do in order to create a good capping project?
What I would tell students to calm their nerves starting their capping project is to remember that you've got a lot of knowledge going on and moving around in your head. You know how to do it. You have all of the skills with which to put this all-inclusive piece together. You just have to kind of organize it.
But to be successful, you need to know your strengths and weaknesses. So if you're doing it as a group, maybe your best friends shouldn't be in your group. Maybe it should be people that you respect for their talents and what they bring to the table. So if you are a good editor, don't work with other editors. Find someone who's a good writer, someone who's a good researcher, and working collaboratively. And that's hard. It's hard once you get out in the workforce to understand the importance of building a strong team. Definitely a challenge when you're a senior in college.
What I would tell students who are about to do capping is to very much plan everything out really well, and if you do that correctly, there's nothing to worry about. There's no reason to be stressed about capping. I know it sounds scary and everybody's going to tell you it's going to be really, really hard, but it's not scary at all.
Capping really is not as scary as it may seem. After all the planning, shooting, editing, and possibly being brought to the verge of a mental breakdown, you are able to see that capping is a great way to showcase everything you have learned and be proud of your Marist College education.